It me reporting whatever the fuck I want.
You don't own me.
Whatever.
You should be scared.
It's tea time. Hello and welcome to Tea Time with Sarah Holcomb, where I, Sarah Holcomb, and fellow comedians spill the tea on news stories that have been going down this past week while having a tea party at the same time. Today we have Avery Hutto. He is a comedian and writer in Chicago and also teaches acting to kids at a national talent school.
Sarah's my boss. I'm contractually obligated to be here.
And the Queeny bitch. They are a comedian and host in the Chicago area and also just performed at Zanies and Laugh Factory last week. So that's awesome.
Yes, girl.
Let's get into the tea. BBC is reporting that there is a COVID variant called Delta that is resistant to any of the vaccines. And there are 38,000 Brits who have contracted Delta in the past 28 days. So, that's a problem.
Look out, Mom. I know you got vaccinated, but stay indoors.
Is it a fresh COVID or is it like a double COVID? Like they got regular COVID and now they got the Delta?
Well, it seems like now it's a variation, so it's like even if you had it before,
matter.
you get it again. Well, they even said for regular COVID, like the antibodies only last for like 3 or 4 months before they start to dissipate. So like that's why you don't want to get the vaccine when you have the antibodies already, but keep getting tested because soon,
the antibodies go down.
Yeah, then you need to go and do it again because they're gonna have us get boosters even if we got the vaccine. They were saying eventually everyone's gonna have to get a booster. So if that's what's going on, then it sounds like from it that it's just a different thing altogether. If it's spreading that fast, I mean that's almost faster than original COVID was spreading.
If there's more COVID, I'm gonna be so mad.
Yeah.
Like if
Oh
this
my
winter
God,
again, we go back into lockdown.
I mean, here's my thing. I'm about to kill my roommates already. I don't need another lockdown. Just giving me no, you're with them now. That was already bad. I also I just started a new job. I've been doing shit. It'd be really great to keep stuff going.
My 14-year-old conspiracy mind has just gone so crazy, and I just had to shut it up completely. Because so many things have happened. Conspiracy theorists 10 years ago were here's what's going to happen. There's going to be a pandemic. They're going to shut the world down. And when that happens, the government's going to introduce aliens so we all combine into one world government. And all of that's happening, but I don't know anything anymore. I'm just going to drink tea and eat cookies.
Recently on Fox News, some white lady was talking about how she had an issue with new gene experiments that are going on. So the government recently is putting a certain amount of billions of dollars into more research into the genetics testing that they were doing before in gene splicing. So in this lady was freaking out, flipping out the entire time, just talking about how this is unlocking Pandora's box. We're going to have animal people just walking around, and this obviously comes from the devil. And then brought in someone to talk about what's actually happening, and then they just said, ending the segment on, well, there's just so much we don't know. No facts whatsoever. Yeah, it was absolutely hilarious to listen to because they're talking about it as if they just watched the Netflix series Sweet Tooth, and just it's gonna happen.
They like to fearmonger on Fox.
Right.
It's regular news they fearmonger, but Fox in general it just scares everyone.
There was no facts, of course. It's Fox News with no news, just feeling. And they're just I feel that this is wrong. It's the devil. And obviously talking about the Christian hell, it comes from hell. The Young Turks, is who I was watching it on, goes in to talk about what was actually happening. And they're talking about how, which has been pretty public, that sometimes they'll find something that's genetically close to a human and use, gene therapies to essentially create a human liver within them. And they can use human DNA so that the body won't reject it once it gets transplanted into a human. Really interesting stuff. What they're talking about is there would be DNA remnants. So they're putting it in, there are still remnants of human DNA within them, and it comes up in a test. They're not then turning into pig humans walking around on 2 legs. Right. They're just taking human DNA, animal, that's the story, all feeling, just running with it.
That medical intelligence stayed in the right hands, that would be great.
Yeah.
But it is true that they could start doing some.
Okay.
Also, just give me cat eyes. I don't care.
Let me do my one now. A group of devil worshippers are manipulating our DNA under the guise of healing us. What they're doing is splicing pig genes with humans, and that will be the new vestibule for Lucifer himself, who will come and take over the planet.
That all feels real. I believe it. Protests.
I think they actually did start doing that in Japan, though, because the Japanese, they don't go according
In China.
to
China.
So that was the reason that they were
Yeah.
doing it. They were trying to make us more competitive in science with China, because in China they're just doing it.
Of course.
So they want to
China
make
is
it.
like,
Yeah. So whereas us, we're going like, but Jesus wouldn't be okay with it. So we have to fight against that.
China's like, who's Jesus?
Right.
What?
The idea that over there, they're just like, it's fine. Whereas here, we just finally said, okay, we're going to give some funding to this because they're doing it anyway. We might as well like have a hand in it so we can figure out what the risks are and, you know, and all that stuff. And everyone's just having the knee-jerk reaction of just like, but God wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how you govern a country, though.
I feel like the CIA probably has already been doing it, though, and
Oh,
they're just
like-
releasing it.
Yeah, back in the 70s.
They're probably like, we were doing it in China. That was us in China, and now
Right.
we're doing it here.
Yeah,
and we
oops.
blame the Chinese, but ooh. That was us. Here's another thing that's interesting. The government, or the president, probably doesn't make decisions. He literally can't, because the president has to be trained. Like, you get
That's
to
true.
become the president, and somebody has to tell you how to become president.
Yeah, you have to rely on your staff for like almost everything.
But it's not even the staff, it's the people who were there before you who are like, here's how to be president. Because if you just went in and you're like, all right, I'm president now, like, how do you know what to do? It's probably like the CIA who's like, here's what you do, and then you're like, okay.
There's an unsanctioned CIA operation. It's
Yeah,
our entire
exactly.
government.
It probably is. They're like, all right, bring in the president.
I don't think anyone was under the impression that Biden was brains behind anything. So.
Or in control.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, we needed Biden after Trump, honestly, just because he's a smiling face and he seems like a nice
He
little
forgets
grandpa.
to smile. He
He
forgets to smile. He has that written on his hand, smile.
I feel like he would like give us Werther's.
He's the Werther's president.
Yeah.
He should be sponsored by Werther's. Like,
Yeah.
when this is all done, he just goes on a tour and he's just like,
He give you some Werther's, massages your shoulders, sniffs your
Oh
hair,
my god.
kisses the back of your head for no reason.
Did you see him calling like that 8-year-old or whatever? He's like, "You're a beautiful woman." He's like, he's like, "Look at this beautiful girl sitting here with her legs crossed."
And everyone's just like, oh my god, stop
Joe,
talking
stop
about
it.
that, please.
Even Barack is like, oh man, you're making me look bad, Joe.
Like, I picked him. Stop bringing me up.
I feel like old people, like old white men, they don't know that they sound creepy sometimes.
Oh yeah.
They have no filter for it.
There are plenty of people who don't know that catcalling is offensive to other people. That it doesn't make people feel uncomfortable. They're like, no, this is like a normal thing. You see somebody who's pretty, you yell, "Hey, you're pretty," and then the world is a better place.
It's just compliments.
Yeah.
It actually makes women feel, or anyone getting catcalled, like it makes them feel like they might be under threat of danger. Like they're being screamed at by a stranger.
But especially if they're unaccompanied. Like, you're just
Yeah.
sitting there, like, with a whole, like, gaggle of dudes, and they're just sitting there. It's like, if they wanted to do something, what the f***? You know?
could.
Whitney Cummings had a really good piece about it in her, like, most recent stand-up special. She was just like, now everyone's wondering, when is it okay to hug a woman at work? And she's like, it never was. It was never okay. You just did it. Those are different things.
If I ever have a daughter, I'm gonna teach her to like fight from day one.
Right.
She'll be like in Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I'll always. Have
We're gonna do the
these
real
on her.
ones, the ones that like she's
brutal.
gonna really know how to take
In the
down someone bigger than
basement,
her.
just, like, and I'm like, this is for your own good. She's gonna hate me.
Oh my
But
God.
later on in life, she's gonna thank me.
It's gonna be at a bar just like pummeling people, just pulverizing dudes, just like.
Hong Kong police have arrested editor-in-chief of the Apple Daily News, probably because he was saying things that weren't true. Hong Kong. I don't know how to not take it seriously. People think the world is similar to the book 1984, and they're definitely overusing that term. Because if you've read the book 1984, one, it's a shitty book. Like, if you read it, Orwell writes like a drunk man who...
I loved that book. I read it recently and I was totally hooked. I was so
I
enthralled.
didn't like it at all. But the world
Currently on my bookshelf.
The world is very similar to Brave New World, which is a much better and much more well-written book. But 1984, not a fan of it. But I feel like everybody's overusing those terms now, where they're like, "Oh, the world's like 1984." But in 1984, like there was no technology, there was no like oligarchy. It was just people who had to watch TV all the time.
Well, there was this like hugely oppressive system as well that was going on. People were going missing, re-education camps and all that. But
that's not, I don't think, what's happening. I think what's happening in the world is that people are being overly entertained and overly stimulated. Like in 1984, the world was bad and they didn't enjoy themselves. But the whole point of Brave New World is that everybody's on drugs, everybody has all the entertainment, everything they could ever ask for, so everybody's fine with anything that happens. And in the end of Brave New World, it just keeps going, and there's no like real resolution.
I will say that people do overuse it because they hear people on the news just blanketly saying like it's so Orwellian, and they're always saying it for the wrong thing. They're always saying it's like because they want to let black people vote. Orwellian, which is like that's not what that means, and it's just like you can tell that these people probably read like the first chapter of Animal Farm, just like, this is all Orwellian. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Animal Farm is a great book, though. I think.
Now
You're gonna like Animal Farm, though?
I think I've read that.
It's good. It's where it's animals on a farm, and then the pigs decide to kick out the humans so that they can run it for the entire animals and respect the welfare of each animal equally, and then the pigs get in charge and start acting like the humans.
Yeah. Well, pigs are very similar to humans. I mean, they're the ones that they're the ones that in anatomy class they what is it?
Dissect. Physically and anatomically, like inside their digestive system is the closest to humans.
More than monkeys even. So
what if it turns out that we're descendants of pigs and we got it wrong and we're not monkeys?
There was a cannibal out of Germany that got caught, and they asked him, "What do people taste like?" And he said they taste like pork chops.
That's my new favorite conspiracy theory.
Yeah, no, I've heard that before too. There was a guy, like, he got his leg amputated, and he had a whole bunch of friends who were in the culinary field, and actually got them to cook him up and make tacos out of his leg meat. And all of his friends came and ate him tacos, and they all said it was really good and tasted like pork, and I was just like, I was a vegetarian for like 2 years at this point already, and I was just like, I would never.
I really want to know what people looked like and like what their jobs were beyond that. Like, what did they do in the? Because I couldn't imagine like us, you know, eating our friend's amputated leg.
I would.
There's something wrong with them.
I would do it. If I had
they were all just Avery.
They're all just wild people like me who are like. Yeah.
It's morbid curiosity is what it is.
If I had a friend who's like, if it was a good friend of mine, and it was his idea, and he came to me like, I cut my leg off, like, do you want to try it? First I would look at the science, and I'd be like, am I going to get sick at all? Like, is this okay to do? And if the science was there, I would try it. Because that would be the most intense dinner ever.
I would not.
I would just, I mean, really, it's morbid curiosity. Yeah. I would only be there if I could just make a whole bunch of sex puns. Like, now Tim's inside of you. Like, just so I can just, like, make everyone super uncomfortable about the whole thing.
Besides it already being uncomfortable, you're eating your friend's legs. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, I think it's just morbid curiosity. It's just the idea of, like, what is this like? And then, like, you just pose the question, and then you just, like, ask all your friends, and then a surprising number of people say yes, and all of a sudden you have a human taco party. The whole thing to me just seemed completely crazy.
I wonder if they marinated it, or if they cured it, if they went barbecue.
No, they did. I think they did barbecue. Like they actually they cooked it up like carne asada style. Yeah, pulled leg. We're eating pulled human. It's like super great.
They'll be looking back at this conversation in like 200 years, and they'll be like, "How uncultured were they? We eat humans all of the time now. It's completely normal to eat your dead humans."
Oh my God, it wasn't even delicacy yet.
Yeah.
People on Mars are just harvesting Earthlings.
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna leave us here for.
Yeah.
They're just back and forth to like re-up their food supply.
I'm going to the farm today.
Joke's on them. We're all gonna die.
Wait, did you even talk about the art?
We
did not. We started doing a book report.
Hong Kong is arresting the news people.
I mean, that's...
That's a pretty normal story. They're also like killing Uyghur Muslims.
Yeah.
That's China that's doing that. And it's really weird because people won't let go of Disney. Like, they thanked the company who did security on the concentration camp in the Mulan movie. Like, at the end credits, they thanked the company that was pretty much doing the genocide. It's wild.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Like this last
Mulan
movie.
Yes. Because they filmed it in the area where the Uyghur Muslims were. It was like right next door. They're like filming Mulan, and then you have this.
Wow. Just waving next door.
Was a Nazi. Like, that was he was a Nazi.
You know, he was born and raised like a block from here?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have like tours at his house and stuff.
Why does everything bad come from Chicago?
Except for us. Well, actually...
We're great.
Yeah, he'll eat a human.
I'm bad. I'm a bad guy. There was one moment that I like honestly debated on becoming a vegan, and it was immediately after I shot a deer. Like I pulled the trigger.
Again.
I'm a vegan.
I pulled the trigger.
And I'm a vegan.
It dropped to the ground, and I just cried. I just cried. But then I got up to it, and then it was like that primal animalistic where I'm like, I get to eat this thing. It's a satisfying feeling.
Oh my God, not renewing the contract.
Well, it was great having you on for the first and last time.
The New York Post that saying conspiracy theorists are convinced Earth is hollow and filled with aliens.
Yes.
How are they aliens if they're inside the Earth?
I don't
Wouldn't
know.
they be like the original then? Like, aliens come from away.
They think that flying saucers and UFOs can come from within the interior of Earth. You know what? Funny story.
That could be real, though.
Yeah. There's been like a lot of things that I've seen about aliens actually going in water, like with UFOs.
That's been like documented.
Yeah,
We can't see most of what's underneath, like deep sea anyways.
Yeah, and they've actually found things miles under the surface of the ocean that look like they're landing pads, and that things have like skidded, and that there's like roads and stuff. So
yeah, and like ancient ruins. And there's just like, this is a runway.
Yeah.
Why would they need this?
We perceive underwater as like an unlivable place because we breathe air.
That's where most of life exists.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and we are like to another, like if you were an alien, we're underwater too. We can just breathe the oxygen out of our atmosphere, but we're in like a very thick atmosphere right now.
Yeah. There was a kid in Russia who is actually really well documented by scientists, and like a bunch of universities went to talk to him as well. His name is Boriska Kipriyanovich.
Where is the name?
He looks very wise.
Boriska Kipriyanovich.
How do you know how to do that?
I was a sommelier. I had to learn a lot of different languages.
Oh,
I can pronounce a lot of things. I don't know what any of them mean. But I can look at it and be like, I know how to say that.
He said that he remembers his life on Mars, and that there was a nuclear war there where they had to leave and come to Earth. And he was a child when he said this, and he was in Russia and not connected to like anything. There was no internet at this time because he was born in 1996, and he was saying this in like 2002. So I mean, he was not really connected to the internet as
we didn't
now.
have
Like,
we didn't
did
have
he have,
smartphones everywhere.
Information that could only, like, he had weird scientific information where they're like, how did you know that?
Yeah, he developed really quickly. So 2 weeks after being born, he could hold up his head.
Yeah.
He started speaking a few months later. So by the age of 1, he was able to read, draw, and paint. His parents said that they didn't ever teach their son anything about space, and they weren't involved in that kind of talk at all. His race of Martians was wiped out by the nuclear conflict thousands of years ago, and he fears we're now heading in the same direction with Earth. But he was saying that they breathe carbon dioxide. And so they asked him if an alien came from that era and like came to Earth, how would they survive? And he said they would have to be breathing in fumes from like things giving off carbon dioxide.
Oh, and that's
But-
a fun conspiracy that we're
They would have to have their own apparatus, I
or
guess.
they're influencing us to create an atmosphere with more
Oh.
carbon so that they can come and live on it. And technology is the virus.
He flippantly just mentioned, yeah, you guys are breathing oxygen and that ages you a lot faster.
Which is true.
So, and then this
Yeah.
like made my mind
Oxygen
explode.
is a very reactive chemical.
Yeah.
They said if we could actually find something that our body could fuel off of that wasn't oxygen, we would probably live twice as long.
That's crazy. This kid was like 6 or 7 when he said this.
Yeah.
He had all of this knowledge.
What's he doing? Do you know what he's doing now? Do you have a life update?
I don't know. What's the life update of this child?
I feel like the Russian government has him under wraps.
Yeah.
That's the worst place he could have been born.
I think it's kind of hilarious and a little scary, like all the stuff that's coming out about aliens now, and also how little any of us give a crap about it. Like we've all been saying this whole time, like, I know we're not alone. And the moment we have proof, and then the Pentagon's like, we have proof, and we're like, eh.
It's annoying. Like, aliens, the idea of it is annoying. Like, unless they're gonna come and integrate into life, like, I don't know what to do with
It's
it.
like, where are you? I'm just looking for a space daddy.
Yeah.
Can somebody just wipe all this out,
Yeah.
please?
We're ready
I'm
to leave.
so annoyed.
He's gotta be doing something. Or he's dead. One of
He
the two.
is said to have disappeared
Yeah.
along with his mother, and several attempts by journalists to track him
Yeah.
down have failed.
Yeah,
I told you.
he's in a Russian prison. He's in a
Oh,
Russian
no.
prison.
He made the mistake of opening his mouth.
Yep.
Boriska! Sit down!
Boriska!
The humans are gonna kill you.
That's the one thing he didn't like see coming, was that he was gonna be imprisoned.
I see alien. Kill him.
So that was the tea with Avery Hutto and the Queeny bitch. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye.
Bye bye.